Let's just start from the top. Tell me about yourself. What's your role? How did you end up doing what you do today?
Okay, thank you for the intro. Yes, so I started my career in 2009 in Canada. I was in supply chain and logistics. So I first started with freight forwarder. I was a broker for a 3PL.
Mm-hmm.
And then I learned my trade in the transportation world. Road transportation was the first thing I've learned. Then I've learned ocean freight. I've learned rail freight, and then air freight and cargo and all that comes with this. Then later on, I became more interested in the how the import and exporting works, how the regulations, the compliance. And then step by step, I got involved into other things. I got involved into the warehousing world. So I got involved in storage, of course, of all the freight I'm shipping or receiving. It has to go somewhere. So the first job I had was as a manager role was a DC manager role. And that was a big step up for me. That was 2015, I believe. And during that time, I learned it's not just you're offloading product from a truck or loading a truck. It's a lot more complicated than that. You have to manage the inventory. You have to find out where you scan the inventory, and you gotta know where it is. There's systems that help you, of course, doing that. And skipping the scanning part could be a problem later on if you cannot locate the product. Understand the type of inventory. There's ABC classification. A is the fast moving, B is slow moving, and C is obsolete or discarded. Learned a lot of this. Learned the value of GIT, just-in-time model, how that works, and why it's important and efficient in operations today. Especially with my company that I was working for, it was in the produce, so it was potatoes. Potatoes have a short life, of course. Nothing like bread or anything like that. Bread is of course short shelf life, 2-3 days. But this product was temperature sensitive. It's not the regular potatoes that we were working with. It's small potatoes they grow in Netherlands. They're the size of a golf ball. They're very delicious. They're like a delicacy for a lot of restaurants. When you probably see them with your big steak if you go to a fancy restaurant. So those are very time sensitive and temperature sensitive. So the just-in-time factor and of course the importance of maintaining the temperature integrity through the process from when they grow in the field until they are transported in refrigerated containers to the warehouse, and then from the warehouse to the production plant. The plant will, of course, have different manufacturing lines. And then there are different SKUs that comes out of the end of this as finished goods. And so my job was kind of touching the product more than once, because I'm touching it with the growers, and then once transported into the plant, it's manufactured and finished goods. Once it's finished goods, it becomes a product that we sell for retail. The retail channels was mostly B2B. And we were selling to the likes of, this is in Canada, of course, so the likes of Walmart, Safeway, etc. Later on, I stayed in the FMCG world, but in different roles. So I went to a warehouse, more of a warehousing contract logistics role. During that time, I was a general manager for 3 facilities. They were temperature controlled. They were completely for food that is not primarily frozen. So it would be like frozen ice, of course, ice cream frozen, any frozen meat, frozen chicken, turkey, and the frozen world was completely different to me. It's a little bit more straightforward in terms of it's not just in time, but the temperature integrity is even more important, because once this product is not frozen, it's a little bit soft. This product is completely compromised and becomes waste. So that also this role was more of had a little bit of a business development side of it, which is why I took it. So this also was interested to learn more about how, to become not a salesman, but a solution provider for our customers. Solution in terms of not just for storage, we had also solutions for distribution and the last mile. So distribution channels could be retail as B2B or B2C. So that's also another thing I learned down the line. Later on, I took a bigger role, was more still in the FMCG world, but more touching on the grocery section. So it was more retail, but for more like direct supermarket retail and convenience stores. And learned from that role also, had direct responsibility over the fleet management and fleet, of course, maintenance and routing. And that role was my last role before moving to the UAE a few years ago. Now in the UAE, I started a company, Nouh Enterprises. It's a consultancy-based company. So its purpose is really to provide. Again, we're tailored to FMCG still. And FMCG, of course, in terms it could be in the supply chain world, could be in the warehousing. So I offer solutions where our customers need. Our customer could be in the importing and exporting of their FMCG, could be in compliance or registering of product for importing into the UAE, could be registering or the product with the local authorities like Dubai municipality, etc. Also solutions in terms of warehouse layout. Sometimes they found they don't have the best layout, or they want to improve and optimize their warehouse space. Could be a racking project, could be even an ERP installation product. I also worked on that, and recently also I worked for Abu Dhabi Co-op for centralization, warehouse centralization. They had multiple locations in UAE. They felt that some of the other warehouses were not utilized efficiently, or underutilized, or overutilized. Sorry. So the goal was to centralize their distribution from one location in the UAE to service the entire UAE instead of 3 to 1. That was most of my work as of last year. Also, while doing that, I graduated from a master's degree from INSEAD University. That's most recent in December last year. And now I'm back in the game, looking for new challenges, new opportunities. And I think that sums up my experience in 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's really good. That was really, really straightforward. I like that. All right. That's cool. So let's expand on some of the things. Just wanted to obviously, kind of see more as far as you had a lot of experience in different roles, I would say, but mostly having to do with FMCG. But if you were to expand on, just one of them, which one kind of you remembered the most, and which one would you say you had experience with, because obviously we're a solution provider, where you found that the operations, the way they have it set up currently, is not sufficient, like where you clearly saw, okay, like, and especially now that you're doing the last thing that you were providing with your company, like how would you describe those worst setups that you've seen, based like in your experience, and how would you say they could have easily improved, save money on, for example, manual labor. They didn't have the system properly set up. That could be fleet management in the warehouse, specifically in the actual stores, if you ever actually saw how that was happening. Yeah, any of those, whatever you feel like highlights the most for you.
It's a very good question, loaded question, a lot of a lot of info there. Okay, I'll try to
You can pick
simplify.
whichever. Yeah, that's why I
Yeah,
just kind of gave you, just to make it easier. Sorry if I over
yeah,
confused.
no worries. So I'll say the area I think that I see the most is I'll answer warehouse wise and transportation wise.
Okay.
The warehouse, I think the layout, uh, again, the layout has to be optimized in a way that it reduces travel time and idle time.
Mhm.
I see a lot of manual work that it's still necessary, but could be reduced quite sufficiently if there is a better labor planning schedule inside the warehouse.
Okay.
So the layout is one thing, and the other thing is the labor planning, how it's planned. I see companies, the they staff every day like the same. I mean, in a way, you have to have consistency, yes, and you have to give people their hours and so on. But you also have to you still give the hours to this employees, which of course you hired them for that.
Mhm.
But you don't want to schedule everybody on the same time. Like, I mean, you can
Yep.
play around with the shift. I'm not talking about adding a second shift. That also, of course, is a possibility if your business needs it.
Right.
But that's not the first thing that comes to mind. Like, okay, let's add a second shift. No, I mean, you can start some people at this time or that time. For example, there's no sense of all your shippers and receivers to start at the same time. The receivers will be mostly in the morning.
Hmm.
You have some kind of cutoff, and then you start your picking and your shipping if you're in a warehouse environment.
Right.
So I meant by that staggering the shifts. Let's say some people start from, let's say, 7 to whatever,
To
to
noon.
12
Yeah.
or 12 to, I don't know the hours exactly, but the
Yeah.
idea is they're not, and they also run into each other because there's so many people with forklifts or pallet jacks, or they're all
Yeah.
working at the same time. So that creates some unplanned and unnecessary bottlenecks in your corridors. So
Right.
I see that a lot. So staggering of the shifts as well, shift hours, and planning the hours more efficiently,
Mm-hmm.
and that's for the warehouse side. Uh, Again, the importance of scanning. I mean, I've talked about this a lot.
Yeah.
I see some people really underestimate the importance of scanning, and I know humans will make mistakes, and we are humans. So, but that should not be taken lightly. That's what I'm trying to say. There should be
Hmm.
some enforcement, some discipline, and this is up to supervisors to give that discipline. And I see a lot of people like underestimating it, and how much that cost for time and hours,
Right.
the time and money. Sorry, in the
Hmm.
work and the transportation side. The transportation side, again, efficiency. I see a lot of manual planning or routes. There's a lot of softwares, and they're not very expensive. Like, for example, Optimo Route. I don't know if you're familiar with this.
Yeah. Heard of that one. Yeah.
They've been around for a while. They're not a very expensive option. There might be 100 dirhams a month or $30 a month,
Hmm.
US dollar. But they give you a lot of all you have to do is give them your points, and they build your routes for you, depending on your travel time, your traffic, your like your volume for each stop, or maybe it could be the value of the goods. It depends on the criteria that you choose, and then it will give you the best optimal route, and that creates the efficiency without having to do this work manually. And a lot of
Yeah.
people, unfortunately, in my opinion, underestimate that, and they insist on doing these manually.
Hmm.
So you're basically having one person whose job is a planner to do this work every day. When I'm not suggesting we
Replace
downsize, but
them.
I'm saying this person could be doing something else, not this work.
Exactly. I see. That's really great. Great points. I like those. That's really good. So as far as the warehousing, I got it from a lot of friction is created because so many people are just working at the same time when there's not much for them to do at that point. Yeah, I've worked at a warehouse too. By the way, I live in Canada as well, so I know exactly where you're coming from. Worked at a Giant Tiger, and I've seen that a lot where is just overstaffed because the assumption is that there's going to be a lot of orders and stuff, and there are, but you said it exactly very very correctly, that if they would have diversified the time that different um, people are working for different jobs, essentially, for different operations, it would actually clear up a lot of space in the aisles. As far as the fleet management, totally hear you as well, completely agree. In regards to the warehouse, is there anything else that you would add in regarding the actual systems? Because you mentioned a lot in human labor and like setting it up properly. But as far as maybe certain systems that you've seen, because for me personally, I've seen with Giant Tiger, it was always that, printing out that picking list, you always have to drive back to the desktop to print it out. Again, the manager needs to be involved, always monitoring all of that. And, for me now working with Cleverence specifically, I can totally see where my work there as a picker, I was a picker. I don't remember what those called, not not a forklift, but, the thing that you kind of stand on and you drive around on it.
Intelligent.
Yes,
Yeah.
pallet jack. Yeah, thank you. There you go. And it would have, saved me a lot of time just picking those orders much quicker because I don't have to drive after I do my route. Give that to the shipping dock. Then I have to go back to the manager. Wait for her to print that out. The next one, then I go back there. And the warehouses, some of them are 10, 20,000 square feet. They're huge. You have to like drive from one side to the other just to get the piece of paper, right? That's so a lot of time is wasted on that. Obviously, from my side, again, I can add the human errors, just like you mentioned. Like sometimes I remember when we have multiple shifts. They're paying extra hours, but you get tired when you're overworked. Before Christmas, especially, I remember that was a huge one, especially in Canada. And yeah, you would make mistakes sometimes. So is there any kind of like softwares that you would say that you saw and you would have been able to make something better if you had something to pick from?
Yeah, good question. So a lot of the softwares today, again, like SAP, Oracle-based, or SAP for HANA, for
Yeah.
example, or SAP EWMS is the most recent one I worked with.
Okay.
They all have the ability to add printers. So again, or not just add printers, you can also tailor some of, like, for example, you mentioned if there's a big warehouse and you're traveling from so far it takes time. That's also idle time for
Exactly.
you as a order picker or so on, or shipper receiver. So again, the efficiency comes when you're tailoring the software to, or the ERP to your needs. So okay, you're let's say you are 10,000 or 100,000 square feet. The idea is, okay, you have stations. So these stations are like printing stations. So
Yes.
you finished your task on your handheld, and you are nearest to that station, the printer station, and you finish your task in the handheld. That, okay, I finished picking this order, and you're done. And then you scan that you are in that section, and assuming that, of course, your manager is assigning you that section,
Right.
then you they scan that and it prints for you, so you don't have to go all the way back and forth.
Mm, I see.
This is not rocket science, unfortunately,
Yeah.
but it just requires a lot of how I was mentioned, tailoring the system to your needs. This is what I meant
Right.
by that. So you're adding printers, you're adding some approval in the scanner, so the system recognize, okay, Stan has finished this order. He completed it. He clicked that he completed it, and then he scanned that location
Hmm.
for the printer, and the printer understands, okay, the next sequence for him is this, so it spits out that order for you. You don't have to travel all the way back to supervisor to print it for you. Use some AI there, basically. That's
Yeah.
what I.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I agree with you completely. Got it. That's really good. So now, just to kind of not really sum it up, but just to go a little bit deeper, specifically the biggest pain points that you've seen. Again, you have a lot of experience in warehousing, retail, FMCG, and with different positions as well. So you've seen like what it is on the floor, what it is from the management side. What would you say are the biggest pain points just based on your position? So if you want to go through like one or two of them and what you've seen where you would say, it could be improved.
A few things. I think the first one is alignment. You've got to be aligned with, you mentioned Christmas, for example. Here, Ramadan, same thing.
Exactly.
The peak season. So you have to be aligned with your management has to be aligned, and the supervisory level have to be aligned, and then the
Mhm.
people on the floor, like the labor, have to be also aligned. So how that is done is, of course, communication. So I see it. I mean, I know it sounds very straightforward that people should communicate, but I don't think
Yeah.
there's enough communication, and communication to every level. So as I mentioned, 3 levels, and
Mhm.
okay, it's good that management, of course, knows that, okay, Ramadan or Christmas is busy. Okay, and people on the floor know, or the supervisor know, but how busy? What are we talking
Right.
about? Are we talking about like people doing extra 2 hours a day, or doing extra 4 hours a day? Or they now have to work weekends, or is there overtime? All of this has to be communicated in advance. And I
Right.
see we have all the tools, but not everybody. Okay, not everybody's going to read emails. Not everybody's going to,
Yeah.
see company memos posted on the wall. So, I mean, there's different people with different generations. Of course, some people want, for example, Gen Z. They want everything on their phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to find a way to communicate effectively, and not
Cross
just rely,
sector.
okay, on email. Everybody will read the email, or everybody will read the company memos in the lunchroom, posted inside the lunchroom on the wall. You cannot assume that this is going to happen. So you have to
Yeah.
really confirm the communication has been sent through to every level. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, so that communication somehow has to be communicated effectively.
Mhm.
And the other things is of course, the expectation from your software.
Mhm.
A lot of people invest in ERPs, and I mentioned it could be tailored to your needs, which is of course great. But I
Mhm.
see a little bit of a gap in the training. So people
Oh.
have expected that, okay, we have a new ERP, we're going to be efficient from day one,
Yeah.
and skip, or not skip, but underestimate again the training phase. You are
Mhm.
so efficient on your old system, or you think you are efficient because you've been using it for a long time.
Right.
You have to allow a training phase in that, and enough training phase. Um, and also, those are I will also say the end users have to be involved a little bit earlier, and
Right.
not just involve the end users at the end of the project when, okay, everything is said and done. Okay, they will have to be involved, of course, but I'm talking about
Yeah.
earlier. So the end users, the people, like you said, are printing the labels, or doing these tasks,
The scans.
or
Yeah.
or scans. So they
Hmm.
have to be brought in for a lot earlier. And I'm not saying don't involve supervisors. Of course, they have to be involved in management,
Yeah.
etc. But the end users have to be adopted a lot earlier to make that transition a lot smoother. Because I
Hmm.
feel the
Hmm.
transition could be smoother if it's done more in depth. And the training phase, you have to allow that time. You cannot say it's going to be 1 week, and no, you have to be a little bit more generous and with the expectation, expect mistakes. And of course, that's a learning phase with any new software.
For sure, for sure. Got it. Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. Yes, and specifically with a lot of softwares, I would say the learning curve is quite steep. So, for example, if we're using like some EWMS, it's like it takes time to learn it. Even for like a warehouse manager, they need to understand like how to use it, essentially how to use it, where they can press the buttons. If we're talking about like a mobile handheld, if it's on the desktop, whatever. Yeah, I completely agree with you. It's a lot of friction that happens essentially because the management had, like, the supervisor was taught a little bit, they kind of understand it. And I remember I was with one of those, and then yeah, they give it to the end user, the pickers, the people that are at the dock, and they're just lost with it. And a lot of times I've also seen that they just ditch the system. They refuse to use it. They just simultaneously just put the device down and just keep on writing things on paper, essentially. So
Yes, yes, I've seen this, and this drives me nuts. So why did we
yeah,
spend that much money on that system if we're gonna go back to pen and paper?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, so that's that for sure. So what else did I want to ask here? I'm just looking at some of my notes here. Um, so as far as things look like right now, what would you say, especially you coming back into this industry, what would you say are, I guess, the things that would matter the most if we're talking about inventory management specifically, not like fleet, if you're just going back in retail and in all the verticals really, but just to track the inventory, what would you say is, you know, based on your experience, and of course we have AI going on now and all that good stuff. But what would the ideal system would look like for inventory management with, as I mentioned, whatever vertical you want to go with, FMCG, if it's most comfortable to you?
I think FMCG is the one I'm most comfortable with. Yes. Again, a lot of companies use the traditional FIFO, FIFO methods, first in, first out,
Yeah.
or first expiry in, first out. It's a different name for it. So that, of course, remains effective if you are following the right. Again, comes down to the scanning. We talked about that and the importance of scanning. And
Hmm.
you scan, you enter the correct expiry date because you have different batches, different expiry dates. For some companies I've worked with, for example, if they receive something, let's say January 2026, they will not receive a December 25 item after that because the system will not allow it.
Right.
So that product, yeah, you have to, of course, either sell to someone else or
Hmm.
uh, destroy. So to answer you, there's plenty of softwares that do a similar task. I think it's up to if it's up to me, it's really we underestimate training the inventory control. I've
Hmm.
seen this okay. I also seen this in Canada a lot more than UE.
Yeah.
There's usually an inventory manager, and the inventory manager, I see them report to finance, not to the somebody in the building, not to the warehouse manager or the general manager. They report to somebody
Very
outside. So the idea is that that guy is or girl uh, is kind of independent. They're not getting pressured by the people on site. That's the whole
Mm.
idea.
Right.
And they have a different vertical for reporting.
Hmm.
And you want to challenge them, you challenge the other person, the other manager. So that's how they report this way. I also see here in UAE, there is an inventory person, but it's not really as dedicated for section. For example, it's an inventory
Mm.
person for the whole building. But I've seen
Uh,
cases where there's like somebody for inventory for food, inventory for non-food, inventory for um, other other items like the consumables. So there's a little bit more in Canada depth in this part.
mm-hmm.
What I've seen again in the UAE, it does exist, but it doesn't exist the similar scope. It's usually that person is in charge of the inventory counts. That's
Mm.
really the scope here. Is that person okay? Today you're counting this, today you're counting that, and they don't have a lot more than responsibility than counting, cycle counting. I mean,
Yeah,
um, where in Canada they had a lot more responsibility.
I see. Got it. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I agree with that. Yeah, they have more dedicated people, I would say, per specific like operation. Even I would say, because we had different persons where that was at a receiving, which was like a completely different manager for picking. So that does give that better, I guess, idea as to how to do things, and that person specializes in that specific operation more. Agree with that
Mm.
for sure. All right. So a couple of other questions, and we're pretty much done here. It's been great. A lot of good insight actually. What would you give? What kind of advice would you give to a business right now, and specifically, right? You've been in consulting as well. For a business in pretty much every vertical that's doing currently things still on paper. So they have an ERP system, but they don't have a proper inventory management system. What advice would you give to them?
My advice is to identify your needs and start sourcing your ERP. I know for a lot of companies it sounds like an investment, and it
Yeah.
is. It is. It's
Yeah.
not cheap. It requires some capital, of course, but or initial investment. But the investment will pay off. It's I think a no-brainer. I don't think we're now 2026 that we can unless your system is or you are okay. It really depends. If you have less than 10 SKUs and
Yeah.
your 100 square meters, you're really small. Square feet, sorry, or meters,
Yeah.
it's still the same way, it's still small.
Same thing. Yeah.
You have like 10 SKUs, so you have like say less than 100 pallets. I think you can
Mhm.
survive with pen and paper in 2026. But I
Yeah.
think that's the bare minimum. Anything more than that, it gets more complicated. And
Right.
I don't think any company that we're talking about here have less than 10 SKUs or 10 pallets. So
Exactly.
um, you're just not going to be surviving in this competitive world, whether it's
Yeah.
FMCG or any other vertical.
Right.
So you get the idea. So it gets more
Yeah. Yeah.
complicated. You will need to have a proper system to measure it and measure the inventory for the accuracy. You also will need to look at your your historical data. You have to understand where's your gaps, where's your demands, where's your slow times, where's your high times, what's your best selling. So how would you like again track all of this manually? The
Yeah.
system will track all this for you. You cannot survive on Excel sheets. I
Yeah.
mean, Excel sheets do break at some point. They cannot be maintained. There's, I think, a limit for how many lines you can put in Excel. So
Yeah.
at some
Exactly.
point you will run into that issue. So the advice I'll give you is find out what your needs are, identify your needs, look at providers, more than one. So I remember one ERP software we went through multiple rounds. We started with the bid with 15 solution providers, and then each round we reduced until we were
Yeah.
down to three. Then we invited the three to come and do a demonstration live, and then we selected one of the three.
Hmm.
Uh, so it could be it could be quite a process. Again, you can also consult with people that specialize in that
Right.
part, like myself.
Exactly.
And the idea is once you identify your needs, identify the provider, look at the pricing, the options, and how you can, if you cannot, if you're small, how you can, afford it, how you can finance it or get a loan, or there's lots of
Mhm.
ways to pay for that software. And then the implementation and training fees. So implementation again depends on how complicated the requirements are and how much
Yeah.
time your consultant or your provider have given you for timeline. So this is
Hmm.
usually a project usually,
Of
and
course.
done in weeks. So once that's completed, then you're looking after the training and training and enrollment deployment phase.
Yeah, got it. Got it. Yeah, I got that. That's perfect. That's perfect. So basically, identifying the problem in 2026, there's no way to go with Excel sheets or pen and paper. Identify the problem, look at exactly where you're lacking, what you can improve, and then start essentially searching for inventory management solutions. If you, for some reason, in 2026 don't have an ERP system, of course, start with an ERP system, and then continue from there. And then, yeah, as you mentioned multiple times now, after you've figured out the right solution provider, then you go and make sure that the training, so essentially the software itself is easy to use, so it's much easier to get the end users to switch from their old ways to the new system, which they'll be using for quite a long time going forward. Got it.
Absolutely.
That's perfect. That's perfect. And last question that I have here is uh, based on your experience, and it's a kind of like quite a wide question, but what's the thing now about running warehouse operations that you generally wish someone had told you earlier, like in the earlier days?
Um, Change is difficult, and people are reluctant to change. I
Mm,
thought, okay, everybody will get along, everybody
yeah.
will play ball, everybody will jump on this. And what I learned is no, people are reluctant to change. It takes time to change. It takes the right mindset, the right culture, the right message or communication we talked about earlier. Also,
Yeah.
uh, it's not easy. It's not a turn of a switch of a button that will work itself out. No, you need a lot of coaching, a lot of training, a lot of
Hmm.
conversations, whether they're on site or outside, phone calls, meetings to get alignment. And
Hmm.
that key part here is alignment is very difficult and to reach because people are hard and they're reluctant to change. And they
Yeah.
like the old ways, even if it's the dinosaur, excuse my
Yeah.
language, paper, but they think it's efficient. Unless you have some really good, strong points to convince them otherwise, they will still think that they are efficient when they are truly not. But
Right.
they, this is what they believe, and they will die on that hill. Some of them, at least.
Yeah.
So that is the one thing that I wish I knew earlier. But
Got it.
that doesn't also help me now so much. But it
Yeah.
helps me to at least understand that it takes time and the right strategy and conversations, right, have to be done properly in a
Hmm.
timely fashion to get that alignment that I meant referred to.
Right. That's awesome. That's awesome. So yeah, that's it for my questions. Is there anything else that maybe you would want to add, for the people checking out on LinkedIn, this how can I say it, the shorts or whatever, the clips that we'll take out of this. Anything that you would add to the business owners, to the senior executives, even just end users on the warehouse, retail, FMCG, all those industries. Maybe something you want to add.
Yeah, I want to say thank you for having me on this podcast. It's been a pleasure. Thank you
Likewise.
for organizing. And I want to say, of course, we have some difficult times now in the region. Hopefully, things will clear up soon. I would say for some people, it's somewhat quieter now, but it will be a lot busier soon. So just enjoy the quiet time if you can, because it will get crazy again soon, just like FMCG always is around the globe.
Exactly. Got it. Well, perfect. It was my pleasure as well. Thank you so much for joining us today.